In this video, we're going to use the other form of getting the user's input by using getline. So to use getline, what we're doing is we're taking in a string, essentially. So we cannot actually get access to getline, which would be the normal std getline. Instead, we have to include string because we are going to be taking the input and throwing it into a string variable. Let's go ahead and include opening bracket, or greater than, string, then the less than. So now we have included string. Now we can use std getline. You'll see we have, that's really kind of a pain in the butt to read to some extent, but we have this stream. So this is going to be our string. Then where's the comma at? Right here. And we also have the type. So in our case, it would be sin. So sin for input. So we're going to do std string user input. And I'm going to get rid of that user input variable. That's an integer. We're just going to pass it in. So user input and then sin. And I may have just got that backwards. All right. So the type, sin for getting the input, and then the variable for the output. So our string. So what I can do now is Control F5, type whatever I want, and when I press enter, as you can see, it prints out the exact same thing. So we can get our string, or whatever the user inputs entirely from here until it hits a new line terminator, which is our enter key. So it's going to be the entire line. And that way we can do whatever we want because we have it right here with user data. So if we're requesting an integer, we would just use the normal sin to grab the input. If we want the entirety of the user's text, or if we want to get, something more precise, we would use getline because we can use and get decimal values this way. So for example, if I were to, let me Control Z a bit, get it back like so. Let's say I try to do, well, actually it's going to round it. So let me change this to a float and see if it'll even input it. Yeah, seems to. Let's say I had to enter in a decimal value, 1.234. Well, we can do that. But again, we can't do text. It's just going to constantly be 0. If we change this to getline, and I keep doing that out of habit, what we can do is instead, granted we don't have, I'm not going to cover it in this video, but what we can do is take our input and convert it to a number. So this allows us to both, we can take in text. If we really wanted to, we could pass in a number. It's still going to read it as normal text. It's not going to take it in as a value. But we could take this and convert it. So that's kind of the benefits of getline. So again, it kind of depends on what you really want. If you know exactly what the user's input's going to be, and if you know for sure that's going to have to be an integer or a float or a double, then use just normal sin. If you're going to have any involvement with text or any character that is not a number, or, well, decimal values are numbers, that's just not a number at all, use getline. So if you ask a player, like someone input their age, use sin. If you're going to ask somebody for, let's say, I'm trying to think, I'm not entirely sure. Like their name, then you would use getline. So when we cover that kind of stuff later, when we start, working with classes and that kind of stuff, we'll end up using getline because we want to be able to get the person's name. We want to use sin to get their age and all that kind of stuff, and have some basic checking to make sure, hey, this person entered in, well, make sure this person didn't enter in a letter when they're entering in their age and that kind of stuff. So that's going to be all for this video, and I will see you in the next one when we kind of just actually start making use of this information. So I will see you then.